Let's move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Luie Moscone. And Luie Moscone writes, "Hey, John, with all the excitement about that big reveal at the end of Mandalorian," and by the way, this does have a spoiler involved with episode 1 of The Mandalorian, but we are talking about a TV show that it did air 4 days ago, so I'm going to assume most of you guys are up to date by now. My question is, do you think Fett will play a bigger role in the season, or like most other characters, maybe make a quick appearance here and there? What would you like to see? All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, man. And yeah, listen, we knew to some degree that something like this was coming, right? A bunch of people knew that at some point Boba Fett was going to show up. They also alluded to it in season 1 a little bit. Now the question becomes, with that great ending of episode 1, how big will his role actually be in this thing? How much will we see him in season 2 upcoming? And Rob, I was reminded yesterday that the original story, I don't know if you knew this, Rob, the original story in an official publication of about how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit was actually written by our friend Kevin Rubio in the Tag and Bink comic, where Tag and Bink were actually also hanging on for dear life in the Sarlacc pit since before the battle over the Pit of Carkoon began. They were down there. Boba Fett goes falling in there, and after the battle is over, all 3 of them get out of the pit and walk away. Now, that's not officially canon. Just going to say that. It's not officially canon, but it's as good as anything else that's out there. The question becomes, how big of a role will he have to play? Some people are speculating that Boba Fett is basically going to be, if Mando is character A, that Boba Fett's going to be character B for the rest of season 2. I have a feeling, now I don't know this. Let's be clear. I do not know this, but I have a feeling that we are going to see Boba Fett in one more episode this season. I think we're going to see him in one more episode. And I think wherever that episode happens, whether it's episode 2, episode 4, episode 7, episode 8, probably before 8, I think what's going to happen is Boba Fett is going to be the one that points Mando in the direction he takes the balance of the season. Whether that happens earlier or a little bit later, I'm not sure. So I don't think we're going to see. By the way, I never know how to pronounce Tamora Morrison's first name.
Yeah, Tamora Morrison. That's
Tamora Morrison. Okay. I don't think we're going to see a lot of Tamora in this season, or maybe in any other seasons. Maybe we will. I'm not sure. But if I had to guess, and I'm just guessing here, Rob, my guess is we're going to see him in one more episode where, whether they have a friendly conversation or come to blows, when it's ended, Boba's the one who kind of points him in the direction he needs to go. That's how I see this playing out. What do you think the future of Boba Fett in this season of The Mandalorian holds?
Well, do we know he's Boba Fett? What we saw at the end of that episode?
The one thing that we can say for certain, is that, and this can't be taken as take it to the bank, but IMDb does list him in his Mandalorian appearance as Boba Fett. It does list him as that. And theoretically speaking, the clones should be dead by then. They should have aged out by then because of the rapid aging that they have. So I don't know. So you can't say for certain. I'm willing to accept right now that it is most likely that he's Boba Fett. I'm just going on that assumption right now, but it is possible. It's possible.
Ahsoka Tano. I always say Boca Raton, but there are characters that are going to pop up from Rebels and the Clone Wars in this show. And I think that by showing us this character, I think it's a deflection. I think he might be somebody like Captain Rex. I think that there's something going on here that is not the obvious thing. And I don't know. So I have to say that I'm not going to embrace 100% that Tamora Morrison, or at least the character that we just saw, is in fact Boba Fett. Because if he is Boba Fett, and if he's out there, and he knows what's up to the point where he's overseeing this situation. Why didn't he just go take his armor away from Timothy Oliphant? You know, and I think that I don't believe it, and I don't believe it has not been stated that it doesn't say in the end credits that Tamora Morrison's Boba Fett. It just says his name.
No, I just said in the IMDb page listing, it said that. Yeah, it doesn't say so-and-so as so-and-so. That's true. But let me ask you this. If he's not Boba Fett, and I'm going on the assumption that he is, but I'm open to the possibility he may not be. But if he's not Boba Fett, on a scale of 1 to infinity, how pissed off are a lot of the fans of Mandalorian going to be who have been wanting to see Boba Fett, to tease Boba Fett in that way, to the point that, really yes, it could be a misdirect because you're talking about, you have Timothy Oliphant in there, and clearly, look, Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit. It's if his gun and his armor and his jetpack and it all got out, and we saw Mando get out of the crate dragon by using his jetpack. So if we see that all of Boba Fett's armor got out of the Sarlacc, shouldn't we assume maybe I'm wrong about this, but Rob, don't you think that the amount of outrage and pissed off fans could be pretty volcanic if it's not Boba Fett, that they would tease them? I don't know. Because it would make more sense to me that you tease Captain Rex and then go, it's actually Boba Fett, and that would blow people's minds, make them excited. I don't know that you can go the other way and say, start with teasing Boba Fett and say, actually, it's one of a million clones. I don't know. What do you think the response to that would be?
Well, I think that, that's a tough call because everyone does love Boba Fett, but remember, I know you're not as keen on the Clone Wars series as a lot of people, but
a lot of people are. A lot of people are very keen on it.
And I think with Clone Wars and Rebels, they've made a lot of connections between this, and the Darksaber being the biggest, obviously. And with Ahsoka Tano showing up, I think that the problem with me is that Boba Fett has never been defined as a character. He's said a few things, whereas, say, a Captain Rex has far more definition in the Star Wars universe as a character. And for me, I don't know. And now that we've seen Boba Fett, it would make no sense that he would go why would he hang out on Tatooine for all this time? He gets out of the Sarlacc pit, I'd be out of here.
He's got his reasons. He's got his reasons. Then again, where'd that armor come from? But maybe Boba Fett he gave his, I can't believe he would sell Mandalorian armor to Jawas, or somehow the Jawas got this armor that was, and we saw it. It wasn't like it was in a place of honor. It was just thrown on a pile of a bunch of other garbage. They found him passed out in the desert, stripped him, kind of like they were stripping Luke with him knocked out, laying in the desert. We're just taking everything. But it does raise other questions. But let me ask you this. If, and that's a big if, obviously, if it is Boba Fett, as I'm kind of assuming it is, how big of a role do you think he's going to play in the rest of the season? 4 episodes, 1 episode, not going to see him again for the rest of the season?
I don't think he's going to play that big of a role because, the problem with Boba Fett is he overshadows your main character. He overshadows our Mandalorian character, and I think it would be really hard. We've got a Mandalorian, and you bring Boba Fett in, people are going to want to see more of him, and I think that in a way, what they're doing with the Mandalorian is they're supplanting. The Mandalorian is going to be a much more beloved character for a whole new generation of Star Wars fans than Boba Fett is. The Mandalorian is the perfect way to create a bunch of new Star Wars fans. It's exactly what Disney was hoping to do with the sequel trilogy, in that, look, Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian are going to be, they're their own thing. They've become worldwide fan favorites the way that none of the characters in the sequel trilogy have become. And I think they're doing exactly what they wanted to do, and to dilute that with Boba Fett, I think, is a mistake. I might even say that we've seen all we're going to see of Boba Fett. and that's only his armor. But I could be
All right.
wrong.
And you could be right. I mean, that possibility absolutely exists. There are a lot of clones. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Do you think that Tamora Morrison is actually playing Boba Fett as the IMDb listing suggests? Do you think he could be playing a clone? We heard whispers that maybe a Captain Rex could be making an appearance, or one of the clones, whatever. That's all possible too. And how big of a role do you think this character, be it Boba Fett or one of the clones, will play in the rest of the season? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your reasoning. All right, guys. With that down...